Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to Sepang International Circuit for the first round of the GT World Challenge powered by AWS Asia Championship, and it is our 7th season here in Asia and what promises to be the most competitive Asian season that we have ever seen. My name is Ben Constanduras and I'm so very happy to welcome you to qualifying for this brand new season. Not much has changed in terms of the regulations, so if you are familiar with GT World Challenge Asia, then you will know exactly how this works. Current weather is pretty warm out there, probably the warmest of the day so far, 30 degrees already, and it's only 10:30 in the morning. We are expecting that blue sky to begin to cloud over this afternoon, and perhaps some big thunder showers like we expect to see in these humid temperatures over here in Asia. But for the moment, the track is beautifully dry, as it has been throughout practice yesterday. And there is that wonderful grandstand which sits at the inside of the final turn here at the Sepang International Circuit. A real gem in the calendar of Asian tracks, and a great place to begin our season, as we have done for the last couple of years. Taking a look at some of the brand new liveries that we've got to get a head round. We had a full entry of 33 cars. We'll have 32 entrants onto the circuit. It's a full grid, in fact, of 33 full season entries to GT World Challenge Asia. And brands in this championship contributing to the global manufacturers standings, which has BMW sitting ahead of Mercedes at the moment. Mercedes unbeaten in that global manufacturer standings since it was introduced a couple of years ago. And they've scored points already because we've already seen racing in America and we've already seen racing in Australia. Australia, America, Asia and Europe, all with their own separate GT World Challenges. And then, of course, the Intercontinental GT Challenge as well. And that is significant for us in Asia because we will have and be hosting a Intercontinental GT Challenge race at Suzuka in September. It is not part of this championship, but we expect to see many of these cars participate alongside some of the world's best GT3 machinery. Eight different manufacturers of vehicle on the grid, including those two Corvettes. The only time Corvette has ever taken victory in any GT World Challenge race is in Asia, thanks to Bingo Racing 2 years ago in Fuji. And the Princes of Johor are in those JMR Johor Racing Run Corvettes. Surely the cars to beat this weekend. They've had so much expectation and excitement in the build-up to what effectively they are calling a new team, Johor Racing. It is run by the Australian team still, JMR Racing. But Johor Motorsports is the new name there. Moving away from Mercedes that they once ran in for a good few years. We saw Prince Jeffrey and Prince Abu Bakr in that team for many, many years, in the 888 team. And then last year we didn't see Prince Jeffrey, but we did have Abu Bakr racing. Both brothers back. It's Prince Jeffrey, of course, who is the Prince-elect. His father is now the King of Malaysia, having been, of course, previously the King of Johor, and a big system that allows different regions of Malaysia to eventually become king of the whole country. And since January 2024, it has been their father that is the king. We may well see him appear. He was at the launch of Johor Motorsport, of Johor Racing, that took place only a week ago, a star-studded event here in Malaysia, and huge amount of traction across the national media announcing that team. Whether mother, father or both appear this weekend, we remain to see, but it's been a big push from them to get as many fans down here as possible. Most cars rolling out onto the circuit. If you're not familiar with the qualifying format here in GT World Challenge Asia, we have two sets of qualifying. Qualifying 1 sets the grid for race 1 being this afternoon's race. Qualifying 2 sets the grid for race 2. Now, of course, all of these cars have 2 separate drivers. I say all, the majority, because there is one driver missing, which has led to one driver doing this whole event on their own. Qualifying 1 will be driver 1. That tends to be the less experienced driver in a combination where you have a pro and an AM, or a silver and an AM. And then, of course, if they're silver or AM category drivers, then they have a selection of who they use. Q2 is the pro driver, or the more experienced driver, so pro or silver. Now, we have 4 different categories of classes in this championship. We have pro AM. That means you have an AM driver alongside a pro driver. We have silver AM, so an AM driver alongside a silver driver. That tends to be a driver with limited experience, but ultimately with the goal of being a professional driver. Then we have silver, and here is what we think could be a favourite for the pole position for this particular session. Silver, 2 separate silver drivers with limited experience, or perhaps not the affiliation of a manufacturer that allows them to be a gold or a platinum driver. And then we have the AMs that partner with another AM, and therefore that is the full AM category car. We are watching the silver cars, of course, in this opening qualifying session, because there is 4 silver drivers out on this field. The rest of them are AMs, because if they're in a silver AM car or a pro AM car, it's the AM that's in this qualifying session. If they're in an AM car, it's the AM that's in this qualifying session. So look out for the silver cars, and they are on your graphics on the left-hand side, the numbers with the silver background and the white number. So look out for the number 45, Frankie Cheng, a man who has the most starts in this championship. He has missed just 11 of the GT World Challenge Asia races that have ever happened over here in Asia, because he did take part at the end of the first season and has been with GT World Challenge ever since. He will start his 60th race this afternoon, Frankie Cheng. He shares that car with long-time Audi successful driver James Yu. He took pole position at this circuit 2 years ago. Frankie Cheng took a victory last year, and so the 45 car is really, I think, from the talk of the paddock, the talk of the media centre, the car to beat in this first session. There is the number 4, Lu Wei, sharing with Bastien Bus. We will see Alessio Piccarello in that car, but it is a familiar sight for Lu Wei in the Origin Motorsport Porsche 992 in the Pro-Am category. And Lu with 4 victories to his name, both 3rd in 2023 overall championship and the 2024 overall championship. Chuan Fan goes to the top of the time sheets for the moment at 2:12.9, quite far off what we expect to see the pace being after our practice sessions and our official test sessions that we saw over the last couple of days. So just these amateur drivers getting themselves up to speed, feeling what they have underneath them, feeling what the circuit is offering this morning. And don't expect those times yet to come down to the 2 minutes 3 that we expect. The circuit a 5.5 kilometre circuit broken up into 3 separate sectors. That's what you see on the timing screen on the left-hand side. Those little green, purple and silver bars are the 3 sectors of the lap, and that gives us an idea as to who is fast and who is slow. And here is the number 45 that had the fastest time through sector 1, Frankie Cheng, but that's fastest sector was taken away by Ruan on that last lap. But now Frankie fastest in the middle sector as well. You'll see names displayed in various different ways for the Chinese drivers. They have an English first name, so Frankie being Frankie Cheng's English first name, and then his surname Cheng, and you'll see this name actually on the side of the car written as Cheng Kongfu, and Kongfu being his Chinese first name, which actually is usually used after the surname over here in China. So Frankie Cheng Kongfu is his full name. On the car it's written as Cheng Kongfu, and on our graphics and in the entry list it's Frankie Cheng. And he goes to the top of the timing sheet. 2:04.301, ahead of Bob Wan in the number 87 Pro-Am Porsche. Sadly though, that 87 car not carrying the number 1. And I would love to see it carrying the number 1 because they are our champions from last year. But they have elected to keep the 87 and they've elected to stay with Origin Motorsport. They're the teammate to this car. Bob Wan and Leo Ye are once again partners with each other, and once again they will fight for overall honours. They are in the Pro-Am class this year. Bob, categorised as an AM, a very strong AM. This is Lu Wei coming through the final turn. Interesting approach to that final hairpin. You do turn in a little bit early, especially from that camera angle. You can see that they don't consider it a conventional hairpin. They want to get to the apex early, and that is because, as you will see from that low angle, the apex to the turn is higher than the outside. A very, very tricky corner, in fact, even though it's just a hairpin. And so if you don't hook up the apex, you can find yourself running really, really wide. So drivers try to get in early to hook up that apex. Bob goes into second position, 0.37 off Frankie Cheng's fastest lap time. That shows the pace of Bob Wan as a AM competitor. Lu Wei a good 2.5 tenths behind Bob in his Porsche. And then comes Deng Yi in the silver Ferrari, another of our silver entries for Harmony Racing, otherwise known as Andy Deng in the Thai Super Series. He's raced in GT Sprint, but it's the first time that we see Andy Deng or Deng Yi in this championship, a rookie to GT World Challenge. Cars for the moment out on circuit. We do need to be careful of track limits, of course, because there are 3 different areas around the circuit where race control are monitoring track limits. A lot of the curbs very flat because they run the MotoGP here, and therefore for the bikes they don't like to have raised curbs. But for GT cars, very easy to run over those flat curbs, and so we are seeing lap times being deleted from some of our teams, including Kirong Lee, who is new to GT World Challenge. You would have known Kirong from a lot of different championships, especially IMSA in America. He's done a lot of racing in Lamborghinis in the past. He switches into a Porsche for this year, run by Origin as well. His teammate is Anders Fjorbach, the part owner of High Class Racing. And it's his last lap time has been deleted, so he sits actually off our timing screens at the bottom without a time at the moment. Frankie Cheng, fastest. Bob Wan second. Lu Wei in third spot. And then it's Deng Yi And the third of our silver cars, Sean Dong for Uno Racing, the only new team in GT World Challenge Asia this year. Sitting in 5th position, sharing that car with Rio. You may remember Sean Dong as the 2017 Silver Cup champion. 2017, the very first year of GT World Challenge Asia, and he was our very first Silver Cup champion. So racing in the Silver Cup again, the Hong Kong driver in an Audi. Oh, now, car off the circuit. That is Brian Lee, the Chinese Taipei driver. We'll see if there's any damage to that car. It looks okay, it's GTO Racing Team. Shares that car with Nico Menzel. See him in the second part of qualifying. And looks like he's got away with that, so all good. That's another look. Just not sure he quite had the tyres up to temperature. Goes for a wild spin, but thanks to the way that this circuit is designed, no harm done. Just lost the rear there, so it brings the car into the pits. You'll be a little bit sort of freaked out by that one because it's quite a medium to high speed corner, and car just getting away from him, and we'll be trying to understand exactly what he did, Brian, there. Brian with 2 seasons worth of GT World Challenge Asia under his belt, so no stranger to both the format. You will need to get that gravel cleaned out of the brake calipers, and nothing worse than a bit of gravel between caliper or disc and pad. And as soon as you hit the brakes, scrapes away, absolutely horrible. So mechanics will get those wheels off, they'll give it a bit of a clean, and then send him back out on his way again. Of course, the worst thing to do is have an issue in this part of qualifying, which will then stop the second part of qualifying from happening to that car, because then you don't qualify well in either races. Frankie Chang on the pole position. Sean Thong now has improved up to 2nd spot. There's 2.5 tenths between them. Bob Wan in 3rd, Lu Wei in 4th position, Dong Yi in 5th, and then the number 66 of Prince Abu Bakar, 0.8 of a second back in his Corvette. But the Malaysian flags will be flying for His Royal Highness. Having a look at Adrian De Silva. Raced in most seasons of GT World Challenge as Adrian, but really only comes out to play in Malaysia. Shared that car with team owner Earl Bamber in the past. He's got Dylan Pereira alongside him this weekend. We'll see them in the second part of our qualifying session. Little shout out to Ben Porter in the number 51 AMAC Porsche. It's a team and a car that has effectively appeared in every single year, bar the first year of GT World Challenge Asia, and he's gone 10th fastest. Now, is that the 45 that's gone around? It is, or is that the 46? No, it's a 46. So that's the car of Bao Yinglong, I think. Yes, he'll be in that car right now. And Bao has qualified down in 17th position. Look at the top of your screen, just probably gets a little bit overexcited on the loud pedal. There he goes, round he goes. It's a dangerous one there because there's a support race pit lane on that left-hand side. And I do think he made some contact with the tyres. That's not good because he's handing that car over to Marcus Winkelhock for the second session. And Marcus, as a kind of works Audi Sport driver, will be desperate to have a car that is working well and can get himself right onto the sharp end. Qualifying 1 is over, and like a flash, Frankie Cheng has taken the pole position. Ahead of Sean Thong, Audi on the front row lockout. Who would have thought about that? So the 45 on the pole. And Frankie Cheng will start his 60th race in GT World Challenge Asia later today, and he'll start it from the pole position. That's just a bit of chat between himself and James Yu. He'll be jumping in for the second session. Much harder job for James Yu to try and get a pole position alongside all the pros. Don't know if we've got anybody else still on laps. Presumably there's a few out there. But very, very well done to Frankie Cheng. Who is your pole man? Pole in AM has gone to Will Porter, Ben Porter, sorry. And pole for the silver AMs has gone to Juan Rohan in the Absolute Lamborghini. We didn't speak about that, but that's very exciting to see Absolute moving towards the Lamborghini brand. So they've got a Ferrari, they've got one Lamborghini here, as well, of course, as the Porsches that they run. And here are the results then of that first qualifying session. Ben Porter, fastest in AM. In Pro-Am, it's the 87, our reigning champions of Bob Juan. Absolute Courses Lamborghini 99 of Juan Wohan. And fastest silver, and the pole position goes to Frankie Cheng. He was 2.5 tenths faster than Sean Thong with Bob Juan. And Wei-Lu, Origin Motorsport 3 and 4 in their Porsches. Best of the Ferraris, the Winnier Harmony Racing of Dung Yi. And then the first of the Princes in 6th position. Working our way down, best Mercedes there, Craft Bamboo, Chai Tong Yang. And then the BMW of Guan Chung Fan that we saw earlier on. Didn't manage to improve his time. And at the tail of the field, Team Goji Zen and Elegant Racing Team's Mercedes. There are the results of qualifying 1. Let's go down to pit lane with our new pit reporter for this year. Emily has our champion.
So Frankie, congratulations on the 2025 first ever pole position. How do you feel about the qualifying?
I'm really happy to actually finish with pole position, and to be honest, so far that since Thursday that I have not had a smooth test session and FP1, FP2, but I have a big trust in team, and they provide me a good car. And yes, it's nice to have start the season with pole positions, and now it's James's turn, and he will face more competitive rivals. But I'm confident that James will do a good job.
And you looked very confident in all the sessions, but still, how's the car?
Well, with this temperature, it's always challenging, and but it's not only for ourselves, and it's also for everyone. And yes, it's already looking forward to the afternoon, and finger crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed indeed. Have a good race in the afternoon. Thank you so much.
Great to hear from Frankie. The FAW Audi team, Phantom Global Racing, with a really, really strong field and entry this year, entering both the Audi Sport Asia team and then the FAW Audi Sport Asia team, Phantom. And then they were also entering Phantom Global Racing with Anthony Liu this year. Our first qualifying session here in Sepang got underway at 10:30 local time, and cars headed out onto circuit. So a decent queue of cars desperate to get out, led as is right by our two Malaysian princes in their brand new Corvettes. Lots of excitement around JMR Motorsport Racing for 2025. And a brand new team for Anthony Liu in his 37 Porsche, but a very familiar livery to all of us. In this first qualifying session, AMS and silver drivers, and therefore you expect the silver drivers to rise to the top. And that is exactly what happened. From the very beginning of the session, Frankie Cheng had control. Early pace set by the 89 BMW of Team KRC and Tony Huan. But Frankie answered back. And having taken victory last year here in Sepang, his teammate taking a pole position the year before, and silver drivers taking victory overall in the first race of the year, 3 out of 6 years. We do expect that 45 to have a very, very strong run. It was pushed by our champions from last year, Origin Motorsport with Bob Wan. There was a spin also for the GTO Racing number 10 of Brian Lee, but no harm done. On the pole position then, the number 45 of FAW Audi Sport Asia Team Phantom, Frankie Cheng Kong Fu, on his 60th race start. 2.5 tenths ahead of another Audi, Sean Tong, in Uno Racing's debut in this championship, and it will be a Porsche 3-4 on row 2. So we're just waiting a little bit before we get back out into racing conditions. We've got another 4 minutes before this field will be allowed on the circuit. That contact with the wall, just dislodging one of the conveyor belts that wrap around the tyres down there at the penultimate turn. And so a little delay. There is the 45. It was the 46 that made contact with the barrier. But no sign whether that has had any damage at all. And while we wait, let's take a look at the circuit then, and we'll be guided around the circuit by our Prince.
I'm Jeffrey Ibrahim, JMR driver, and here's my lap of Sepang. It's coming in the front straight. It's very important to find the right brake markers on the left hand side and maximize all the brakes and trying to keep it as tight as we can into turn 1 and rotate the car, and focusing on getting a good exit for turn 2 and coming up to turn 3. Here's a fast right-hander that goes all the way uphill, coming up to turn 4. Also another corner to maximize the braking, but also not forgetting to get the apex and use all of the road on the exit. And here's a tricky one, coming to turn 5, where the car is a bit light, which the lines and control has to be very precise, and on continuation turn 6 as well, to maximize the road but not going over. And coming to turn 7, it's very important to try to get the apex, but also maximizing the exit of turn 8 as we come up to this long straight into turn 9 where the hairpin is, and also maximizing the braking, rotating the car, and be careful of the traction coming out of turn 10 as the car can get quite light. Here's a continuation of good flow into 11, maximizing also all the roads that we have, and also through 13 and 14 there's a lot of time in here. It's a very high speed corner coming up to our second last corner to make the most of the back straights of Sepang. So here's the time where we normally get a bit of a breather thinking into the last corner. Here as well you want to maximize the braking and also focusing on our minimum speed to maximize the exit and focusing on the speed for the front straight. So here's my lap of Sepang in the Corvette GT3 Z06R.
Sepang International Circuit there. Thank you very much to Prince Abu Bakr for giving us, it wasn't Prince Abu Bakr, it was Prince Jeffrey who gave us that tour. And I know a lot of work was done to get that out to us. We'll get a chance to see that again. Across our socials, of course, do feel free to follow us, GT World Challenge Asia. Lots of other content goes up on there across the weekend. Your preferred social channels. And don't forget also that we are racing here in Asia, but there is the European start of the season also this weekend. It's a 6-hour race at Paul Ricard that is happening on Saturday evening European time. I'm not good enough in the maths to work out what that is for us on this side of the world. But once again, JMR heading out as our 2 leading cars. Now, very, very exciting drivers partnering the 2 princes. We've got Alexander Sims in the 99 JMR Motorsport Racing Corvettes. He is a works Corvette driver, originally from the UK, racing over in America. A works BMW driver for years, GT driver as well, and fastest in our practice session. So watch out for the 99. The 66 is being driven by Jordan Love, long-term partner to the 888 team over in Australia, and Princes have got to know Jordan through their time over at Bathurst, and so he's been brought into the team as their pro. So a reminder that we now have pro drivers in these cars, in those that are Pro-Am entries, silver drivers in the Silver Am entries, and of course then the silvers and the Ams still participating. So the field spread from the fastest driver to the slowest driver, different. Just leaving the pits there, the number 51 of Ben Porter. He's the only driver not to have a teammate. Obviously that car, if you follow the championship, always piloted by Ben Porter and Andrew McPherson. Andrew is here this weekend, but unfortunately feeling unwell, and so has given driver duties solely to Ben for the first time since that partnership has participated in GT World Challenge Asia. This is their 59th start. Now, remember I said that Frankie Cheng would start his 60th race, and he's the most experienced driver. So now Ben Porter sits 1 start behind him, and Andrew McPherson will sit 1 start behind them, sadly. Andrew, hope you get well soon, and I hope it's not too frustrating to watch your car out on circuit without being able to drive it. Ben on the pole position in Am in session number 1. Let's see how he gets on in this session as well. Now, pro drivers bang in those lap times much, much faster than our Am drivers. So expect to see our times being set very, very quickly here. Alexander Sims with clear track ahead of him in the 99. We ride on board of the 87, our champions from last year. Now with Leo Ye. Leo was a silver driver last year. He's now a pro driver this year, or he is considered a pro driver. That is a Pro-Am lineup. He is at the moment following Bastien in front of him, getting out to get out the throttle there through that double apex right-hander. Front end just didn't quite have the temperature in it. Bastien Bus, Danish 2023 Super Cup champion, pro Porsche expert. We've seen him before. He's made 6 appearances, so 3 weekends worth of racing for Bastien. And his best result, just a 4th spot, so work to do. On board with Jordan Love then, the Australian. trucked out of that lap, just coming through these double apex right-hander. Not quite where he wants it to be right now. All these pros now, temperature up. Look how different the session looks. They slow down at the end of the lap, they find themselves some space, and then they go and attack. And so this is going to be the first attack for the number 4 of Bastien. He comes over the line. Bit of a traffic jam behind, and there are cars ahead who are already on laps, I would have thought, although just having a quick look, it doesn't look like there has been anybody. Still have 1 or 2 cars in pit lane, according to my tracker, including Ralph Aaron. Though I think that might be a pit visitor more than anything else, the Estonian, racing for Climax. He will be heading out onto circuit, I imagine. For the moment, David Chen is our fastest driver on the circuit, 205.03, so a decent effort on his first push lap for Chen Weiyan. Silver driver sharing that car with Dong Yi in Linear Harmony. The Ferrari 296, which is just such a spectacular piece of kit when you see it in the paddocks. The way that the car comes apart for the mechanics to work on it, it's just incredible. So easy to work on. So easy to make changes. And Alexander Sims, here he is. Let's get excited about this Brit, because having a driver of his caliber in the championship really just shows how spectacular the level has become in GT World Challenge Asia. He's got his teammate Jordan Love ahead of him. I would fancy Simsy over Jordan Love between the two of them, but it is Alexander Sims who is the second of the cars, so maybe the flashy lights. He's not a sort of a flashy lights kind of character, is Alexander Sims. Certainly doesn't need to be too aggressive, but there we go, a few flashy lights anyway to tell Jordan that he's there. Maybe a nice little slipstream perhaps down the back straight, that would be lovely. Corvette, as I say, only taken 1 victory ever in GT World Challenge. Oh, and Alexander Sims gets caught out in the final corner, in the final braking zone by Jordan. And now Jordan's going to go on a lap, you see, and Alex has found himself in a really compromised position there. Not the kind of character to throw his hat out the window, but I'm sure there'll be a little bit of frustration built in. Simsy does go to the pole with a 203.7. There's still time to find over what he managed before, and he's pushing Jordan Love around this circuit. Jade has gone to the pole position in his Mercedes, the number 31 from Craft Bamboo. Now that's been superseded by Maxime Oostend. So lots of changes. There is a first look at the 31 Craft Bamboo racing machine for this year. Different colours, of course, deferring to the drivers and sponsors. Tao Chi is the Chinese driver that Jaden partners with in the Pro-Am. Here is Bastien Bus. He's down 17th right now, but not really with a representative lap time on the board. Lots of changes coming through as all these pro drivers now get themselves up to speed. Bus, not going to be a massive improvement here from the Dane, unless he did a push and then got held up in the final sector of his last effort. Therefore, the big improvement's going to come here in the final sector. Final sector really is that last corner, this corner now, and then to the line. So it's a pretty short final sector of just 30-odd seconds. Bus being knocked further and further down the timing screens, now with the improvement up to 5th spot. Just behind him, Andreas Fjorbach, benefiting from following the Dane. In fact, Fjorbach also Danish. They slot into 5th and 6th positions. So Maxime Hussein, there he is in the BMW. This isn't going to be a push lap for him. You see Jaden Ajeda going into pit lane, so that's the best that the Australian can manage. Is this going to be an improvement from Maxime? Just 0.03 of a second separating himself from Dorian Boccolacci. No improvement there with 5.5 minutes remaining. Boccolacci in 2nd position. Remember that name. He is a now Porsche Works driver here in Asia Pacific. And to be fair, is a star in the world of GT3 racing. As Ralph Aron now goes on to the pole position. That 31 Mercedes. So let's switch around of the tyres to give Jada another opportunity to go back out to circuit to improve. There is Ralph Aron showing me Mike Joe, otherwise known as Joe Buiquan last year, but now using his English name, so it's Mike Joe. Ralph Aron, 2nd year with Climax Racing in the Mercedes Works Mercedes GT3 driver, but with a different teammate to last year. We haven't seen Ralph with a victory to his name. Best results were the end of last year. We got 2 second positions. See him for most of last year, and great to have the Estonian back with us this weekend. Of course, with Paul Ricard as well, some of the divisions of use of your GT drivers across the world for people like Mercedes and Porsche, obviously needing to place drivers in Europe as well as over here in Asia for this weekend. It does create a little bit of a headache when it comes to finding partners for some of these teams. Here is Dorian Boccolacci, partnered now with Anthony Liu, our 2023 champion. To Phantom Global Racing for this year. Sticking with the Porsche, remember he won his championship with Craft Bamboo Racing in a Mercedes and then moved away from them for 2024 into a Porsche. He still managed a decent result last year. 2nd. He's moved away from Absolute Racing and to Phantom Global Racing. As his partner Dorian Boccolacci chasing down the pole position, but there's no improvement there. This is kind of what you tend to see in these pro sessions. The fastest laps come very quickly. Big surprise for Dylan Pereira, the number 61. For Alabama Motorsport, showing with a silver right at the tail of the field. So obviously a problem there for EBM. He's had 4 laps. He is now on an improvement. We've also got an improvement coming from our Nissan GTR. And actually Dylan Pereira is going to improve in that 61 Alabama Motorsport car. When he completes this lap and remove himself from the tail of the field, where you would expect to find ants usually. And there we go, Pereira moving up into 16th position, and so an improvement for Dylan. Ralph Aron looks like he might be our pole position driver. Mercedes taking the pole for race 2 tomorrow. I don't know if that's a surprise or not. Climax Racing, I have to say, I think we saw the best lap that Alexander Sims was on, and he was massively compromised by his teammate. But Ralph Aron going ahead of Doran Boccolacci. Going ahead of Marcus Winkelhock, only in 10th position, but we know that car was damaged in qualifying 1 on the barrier. Lorenzo Petresi, another name new to GT World Challenge Asia, 8th position for them in the Harmony Racing Ferrari 296. But it is a big congratulations to Max Hussein down there at Team KRC, because they've got themselves a second row start for BMW. It's Mercedes, Porsche, BMW, Corvette, our top 4. Is there any improvements coming? Is there any purples? Pereira might improve, although he goes orange in a second sector. I think that might be it. The checker flag now flies, and qualifying is over. There'll be frustration down at JMR, I think, for Alexander Sims. What could have been after practice pace. But 4th isn't too bad. Certainly a place you could work from. Jordan Love, 9th position in his Corvette. He's taken the checkered flag just now. So it's Ralph Aron, Doran Boccolacci, Maxime Hussein, Alexander Sims, Jaden Ojeda, Bastian Bus finishing in 6th position, and then best of our Chinese drivers, Liu Ye in 7th spot, with Lorenzo Petresi 8th, Jordan Love 9th, and Marcus Winkelhock in 10th position. Not sure we're going to be seeing many more improvements from that session. Pole for race 1, the 45, taken over by James Yu. Finished 0.8 of a second off Ralph's fastest time. That's a great effort from James Yu Kwai in 13th position. And that is also best silver. So they take 2 silver pole positions, if you look at it that way. And Ralph Aron taking his time to come back into pit lane. Those global standings that we are focusing on this year. A little bonus for Mercedes with a pole position in race 2. That fight with BMW. It's early doors, of course, but Jaden Ojeda just finished another lap time. Don't know if that was an improvement. I don't think it was, but he takes the checkered flag and stays in 5th position. So there is Ralph Aron. As I say, 2 second places in Shanghai last year. That was his best result. Can he and Mike Zhou get themselves a victory in the opening weekend of the 2025 season? A great way to start. Zhou with 2 seasons under his belt. Did win Suzuka with Jules Gounon last year, so has the ability to take victory. There's no doubt about that. Ralph going and getting himself weighed. And we will get a chance to speak to him down at Parc Fermé. So whilst we wait for Ralph to get his helmet off, let's have a look at the results then. And again, the 4 categories with Ben Porter on the pole position once again for AM. It's Ralph Aaron and Pro-Am and that pole position. BMW Team KRC, silver AM, fastest thanks to Max Hussein. And once again, fastest silver was James Yu in the 45 FAW Audi Sport. And now the full results then. 1.13 of a second separating 4 different manufacturers in the top 2 rows of qualifying 2. Climax Racing ahead of Phantom Global, Team KRC ahead of Johor Motorsport Racing by JMR, and then Craft Bamboo and Origin. It's going to be fascinating to see. Look, 1 second separating 16 cars. I can't wait for race 2. That's on Sunday afternoon here in Malaysia. I said that the field spread would be wider in the second session. In fact, it was tighter, with all 32 cars encouraged by just 3.2 seconds. Let's go down to Emily, who's got Ralph.
So our pole position for you. Congratulations. It looked amazing. How did it feel inside?
Yeah, thank you very much. Honestly, I'm really happy. I'm really happy for myself, for Climax Racing. We got a brand new car on, I think we got it delivered on Wednesday, so the mechanics did a really good job to prepare the new AMG for us. And yeah, it worked, so really happy with the result.
As everybody knows, Mercedes is very strong in this race series. Is there anything special in this car?
No, nothing special. It's just, I think we executed the tire strategy really well. Had really good track position, so to be honest, from the team side, engineering side, I had everything I needed to do the lap.
So congratulations once again. Have a good race tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow, the car that has barely turned a wheel just a couple of days ago is now on the pole position. That's why it looks so shiny and new. So many things can happen, so many little niggles with running a new car. But he picks up his Rover Pole Winners Award. And that is going to be such a fight tomorrow afternoon when all of our pro drivers head down to that first turn here at Sepang, and they lead the first half an hour's worth of racing. Race 1 here in Sepang kicks off local time at 2 o'clock. So wherever you are in the world, make sure you join us where we will have our AM drivers starting the race and then handing over to the pros for the second half. It promises to be absolutely fascinating action with certainly the biggest grid that we have ever seen in GT World Challenge. It is as competitive as it ever has been. Let's now take a look at the highlights of that qualifying session. Much like qualifying 1, the 2 JMR Corvettes led the field out onto circuit, but this time the pro drivers inside the cars in those Pro-Am entries and the silver drivers in the silver AM entries, meaning the pace was frenetic out on circuit and the pro drivers able to really extract the best from their cars straight away. Plenty of traffic in the first couple of laps, so everyone tried to find a little bit of space on circuit themselves to set a nice lap time. And even Alexander Sims finding himself in some significant traffic. The man who was fastest in practice getting stuck behind his own teammate Jordan Love as they pushed for a fast lap. A few teams deciding on a separate tyre strategy, which meant an early pit stop for Dylan Pereira. So this was Alexander Sims on his push lap. Really the window of an opportunity for these pro drivers, 1 lap. And for the very early part of that, Alexander Sims having to stare at the back of the teammates Jordan Love's Corvette. And in the final turn, that particularly compromised Alexander's best lap time. He was only able to do a time good enough for 4th position as Bastian Boos in the number 4 Origin Porsche pushed hard. Maybe a surprise, but Ralph Aaron in his Mercedes for Climax Racing with nice clear track around him ended up going to the top of the timesheets and staying there despite Dorian Boccolacci's big push lap in his Phantom Global Racing Porsche shares with Anthony Liu. Wasn't able to quite overhaul this man. In the end, 0.087 of a second separating Round from Dorian. And only just over a tenth of a second to Maxime Rousset in the BMW Silver AM category car. Getting himself right in the mix with the pro drivers. No wonder he was happy at the end of the session. But it's Ralph Baron and Climax Racing on the pole. So, the clouds are starting to gather here in Sepang. Please join us at 2 o'clock local time, so that's in about 3 hours' time for race 1. It promises to be very, very exciting.